Lara is not going to get old overnight because he is old. he's already old. He's already old. He's a different guy, like you said, but he's still good.
In my past, I fought a lot of guys who was the lefties, even in my amateur and the profi. Even when I was an amateur boxer, I was watching a lot of fighting already in the pros.
Chris Algieri isn't just predicting a win for Janybek Alimkenuli, he is issuing a brutal warning to a boxing legend. He has been vocal and direct that Erislandy Lara is walking into a trap, a physical mismatch against a monster who is too big, too young, and too dangerous for a 42-year-old veteran. Algieri makes it clear, this won't be the technical chess match fans expect. This is a changing of the guard. And according to Algieri, Father Time is about to hand Lara a violent defeat he can't escape.
You got to understand something really quick about Erislandy Lara. He's a tricky fighter. He was never an easy fight, and he was avoided mostly all his career by the big hitters except Canelo. Many people thought he lost that fight because he was so tricky, man. Lara was a really tricky fighter, and he used to move a lot in his younger years. As he's gotten older, clearly he can't move around like he used to. So if you're not moving around as you used to, and you know how to punch, you know how to move, then you're stepping in more into your punches and they hurt more. And I think a lot of people underestimate that about Lara. He's had some knockout wins in his later in his career, Lara. And I think that's why Danny Garcia probably had a tough time with him. And there's some interviews that the money wasn't worth what they paid him to be going through that. I think that's why his father, Angel, stopped it. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to touch on that. Let's find out what, Danny Garcia had to say about his future, about what he wants to do, if he's going to come back after this, or is he going to take his Cinderella story winning?
When you look at Erislandy Lara, you see a craftsman. You see a guy who has survived battles with Canelo Alvarez, Jarrett Hurd, and the best of the 154-pound division. But Chris Algieri warns that looking at the past is a dangerous trap. In his breakdown of the upcoming fight, Algieri pointed to the one opponent no boxer has ever beaten, Father Time.
Lara is not going to get old overnight because he is old. he's already old. He's already old. He's a different guy, like you said, but he's still good. He's turned into a puncher now that he's in his 40s, which is amazing. He's moved up a weight class. He's over the age of 40, and now he knocks guys out. So he's dangerous, and he has all that experience to fall back on.
Algieri was blunt. He called Janybek Alimkenuli a monster, and he didn't use that word lightly. We are talking about a fighter in his absolute physical prime at 32 years old versus a man who is legally middle-aged.
The only reason I don't see this as an easy Janybek win is Lara's international experience, where he's dealt with these guys before. He's dealt with these Eastern Bloc styled fighters, these Kazakhs, these different guys like that, the stand countries who come super prepared, super tough, and they have a little ticks and talks that they all kind of have because it's a systematic training approach. That makes me think like Lara might have a little bit of this guy's number to a degree. Is it going to be enough to win? I don't think so. I really rate Janybek, and I have for a while. I've watched him come up. I called a lot of his fights for Top Rank on undercards as he was coming up through the ranks and beating really, really tough. Like, he didn't have a journeyman route at all. He wasn't like, oh, we're going to build him. No. He fought really tough guys the whole time. Upper echelon journeyman the whole time, and was destroying them, dominating them in really scary fashion. He's a scary guy. He's big, he's strong, he's awkward, he's rough, and he has very, very high-level skills. So I think it's just too much for Lara at this point. Age, Father Time is undefeated, the guy is still 42, and Janybek's a monster.
Janybek is rough, he's awkward, and he brings a level of physical violence that Lara hasn't seen in years. While Lara has been carefully managing the twilight of his career, fighting sparingly, Janybek has been waiting for a moment to unleash a decade of frustration on a big name. Algieri's assessment suggests that once the bell rings, the nostalgia will evaporate, and Lara will realize that Janybek is something far more dangerous than he anticipated.
Biz solakaylarla көп жұмыс істегенбіз. Ол ашық әңгіме. Өйткені ол кісінің енді біз кішкентай кезімізден көріп жүрген боксшы ғой. Өзіміз солақай болғаннан кейін бұл боксшылардың да боксын көп көргенбіз. Енді мен өзіме ойлаймын, қиын ештеңкесі жоқ. Оның артқа көп жұмыс істейтінін білемін, түзу соққыларды көп жасайтынын білемін. Бәріне Құдай қаласа дайын боламыз.
Я много раз боксировал с левшами, когда в любительских был, когда в профи. И я много, когда в любительских был, я смотрел бои Лары, когда он уже профи боксировал. Я уже хорошо его знаю, изучал все, что он может, я все хорошо знаю, что он не может, я все хорошо знаю. Для меня это будет нетрудный бой.
In my past, I fought a lot of guys who was the lefties, even in my amateur and the profi. Even when I was an amateur boxer, I was watching a lot of fighting already in the pros. So I know his style. I know what he can do. I know what he cannot do. I don't think it's going to be a difficult bout for me.
Beyond the age gap, there is a massive elephant in the room that people seem to be ignoring: the sheer size difference. We often forget that Erislandy Lara is not a true middleweight. He spent the prime of his career at 154 pounds, dominating the junior middleweight division. He moved up because that's where the opportunities were, not because his body demanded it. On the other side of the ring, Janybek is a massive 160-pounder. He has reportedly struggled to make the weight in the past simply because his frame is so large. Algieri highlighted this as a critical factor. You have a blown-up junior middleweight going against a guy who could probably campaign at super middleweight if he wanted to. The physics of this fight are heavily skewed. Even if Lara lands his counters, will he have enough steam to keep a tank like Janybek off him? Algieri thinks not. He views this as a boulder rolling downhill. Once Janybek starts his momentum, Lara simply doesn't have the physical mass or the youthful legs to stop it.
How does Janybek beat Erislandy Lara? Well, I think the big key for Janybek is the fighters who've had a lot of success with Erislandy Lara consistently move forward. They push a pace, and when you're dealing with a fighter in the 40s, historically, they're not going to throw as many punches. I should know because it's like things get a little trickier when you hit your 40s. You don't feel different. Mentally, I think you're as sharp as ever, but physically, you're not capable of doing the same things. In a boxing ring, there's two things where Janybek has an advantage going into this fight, and it should be punch output and foot speed. Janybek needs to utilize both. He needs to move his feet well and get himself in position where Lara has trouble keeping up, and he needs to throw a lot of punches. So even if the fight is close, he's able to separate by volume. He needs to be first consistently and dictate the pace. That is my key for Janybek to win this fight.
Usually when a puncher faces Lara, the narrative is the same. Can he find the Cuban ghost? Lara is famous for his lateral movement, his defensive wizardry, and his ability to make aggressive fighters look foolish. It's the classic Cuban school of boxing: hit and don't get hit. But here is where Algieri's analysis gets really interesting. He argues that Janybek is immune to the Cuban tricks. Why? Because Janybek comes from the same pedigree. The Kazakh style, much like the Cuban style, is rooted in a deep, rigorous amateur system. Janybek grew up fighting southpaws, technical boxers, and defensive wizards in the amateurs. He explicitly stated, "I know what he can do, I know what he cannot do."
And when was the last time you fought someone from Cuba? You remember?
Когда ты последний раз боксировал какого-то кубинца, помнишь?
Иә, біз көп жаңағы оқу жаттығуында, әуесқой бокс кездерінде де көп оқу жаттығу жиындарында Кубада болдық, жарыста. Иә, олардың жалпы школалары, тактикалары бізге мәлім. Бізде әуесқой бокста бұрын үлкен текетірес болатын Куба, Қазақстан.
Я пошел в Кубе, и там дрался с кубинцами. Я знаю стиль.
В Кубе был, да? Yes, when I was fighting as an amateur, I did fought Cuban boxers. I sparred a lot with the Cuban boxers. I even been in Cuba and I was fighting in Cuba.
Algieri points out that Janybek won't be confused by the angles or the footwork. He has the blueprint to dismantle the technical style because he was raised in a system that values the exact same things. If Lara's primary defense is confusion, he's in serious trouble because Janybek isn't confused. He's calculated.
But what I can confidently say now today is that the problem all along has been that Carlos Adames did not want to fight Janibek. It's obvious. Because as soon as the Carlos Adames fight talks broke down, Janibek goes immediately after another champion and is now going to officially unify his 160-pound weight class belts for the IBF and WBO against Erislandy Lara. So hats off to him. Much respect to Janibek. Carlos Adames needs to get himself figured out because guess what? After December 6th comes to a conclusion, we will have 3 of the belts unified at 160. You're the lone man out there. Either way, a big fight must come soon for Carlos Adames, and he needs to wake up to that.
Now, the Lara defenders, and there are many, will point to his recent run. Lara has stopped his last few opponents, including a brutal knockout of Danny Garcia. It looks like he's developed old man strength, finding power late in his career that he didn't have in his prime.
I'm a Lara fan because I've always seen that there's so much more to him than what most people talk about. There's more power. I think I think there's.
I mean, we've seen that at 160, but against okay opposition at this level, and that's what makes people say, how real is it? And how's it gonna look against Janibek? Yeah.
I mean, what I'll say is this, without saying too much, because I'm not going to do that. Yes, his hands are hard. I'm going to be honest with you about that. His hands is hard. He's accurate. And if you feel as though, excuse me, if you feel as though Lara is going to be an easy night for you, excuse me. If you feel like Lara is going, my mouth was closed. I thought it was a good job. My bad.
What are you gonna do?
But no,
shit was in his chest.
It was, I wasn't going to do the whole mouth open, Joe. You know, in the gym, that's how we rock.
Go ahead.
But if you think it's going to be an easy night with Lara, shit, y'all got the night to do it, so show them. Yeah, that's not just for Janybek, that's for anybody. You know, hey, that's what boxing is for. The beautiful thing about boxing is all the talk gotta stop. I get to punch you in your face, you get to punch me in mine. Let's really see how I go.
However, we have to look at the context. Danny Garcia was a puffed up welterweight moving up 2 weight classes who hadn't fought in ages. Knocking out Garcia was impressive, but it might have created a false sense of security.
The Janibek Erislandy Lara fight, an older Erislandy Lara, he looked really, really good against Danny Garcia. He didn't look like his age, though. If you look at his body of work, he's not the same guy he was maybe at in his 20s. He's not moving as much anymore. He's sitting more in the pocket. You seeing Janibek's style, is it a thing that we could maybe see Lara get old overnight, or is he's just still Lara, like he should be favored in this? I've heard a lot of people going on the Lara route, the Lara train.
I can see why. I get it. It's Erislandy Lara is another guy you can't really single out. But what was his best win of recent years? And don't say Danny Garcia, because Danny barely showed up that night. He was in a different world mentally.
Algieri suggests that hurting a smaller, semi-retired fighter is completely different from trading blows with a prime unified champion like Janybek.
He asked you, what do you think about a potential fight between the WBA champion Erislandy Lara and Janybek Alimkhanuly? He said, could you see yourself going to 160 in the future? This is from the chat, Trice.
Yeah, Janybek, I've seen him fighting. He's a great skilled fighter. He's a danger to the 160 division. And Lara, I don't know if Lara is still in his prime performing. He won recently against Garcia, if it's true. Danny Garcia.
Yeah, Danny Garcia. He did a little hip gyration too after he knocked him down. It was disrespectful. It was funny.
So, but it's not the Lara from
right.
And I feel like Janybek is like improving to his prime.
Right.
And me in the 160, maybe I haven't made my mind onto that now because like there's still a lot of things to do for me in the 154 division. But once I get my momentum ongoing and have claimed belts and stuff, maybe I could think of to go to the 160 division, or if there's like a great challenge for me or like something which get me excited, I would go up to 160. Why not?
There is also a psychological layer to this destruction. The middleweight division is currently described by experts as a wasteland. It's quiet. There are no superstars making noise, except for the whispers of one man, Terrence Crawford.
beating guys like Cornflake, beating guys, random, Australians, knocking guys out in the first round, Gary O'Sullivan. Like, they're not world-class guys. And
maybe it's helped him. It's helped, preserve him, right?
That's great. He's going to be 12 rounds is a long time. being fresh ends real fast in a 12-round fight.
Yeah, there's a lot of implications with this fight in particular, because you got the shadow of Terrence Crawford looming over. He was at, I think, the AIBA conference. He did a little video with Iga saying, like, hey, potentially teasing a fight with Janibek. But yeah, if Lara wins a Lara Crawford fight, that's kind of nuts to think about, honestly. Yeah, they're guys that have been, in each other's orbit for a very long time. And I really like what's going on middleweight right now. Middleweight's been a wasteland, right?
Algieri and other insiders speculate that the winner of this fight is auditioning for a massive payday against Crawford, who is looking to move down and conquer another division. Janybek knows this. He knows that winning a boring decision against an old man won't get him the Crawford fight. He needs to make a statement. He needs to look terrifying.
And it's not a wasteland of talent, because these guys are all good. Carlos Adames is very, very good. Erislandy Lara, very, very good. Janibek, very, very good. Crawford coming back, obviously that ups everything. But these guys have no profiles. Not here in the States, at least. Really anywhere. They're not really that well known. They're not marketable in the way that you would want for a middleweight champion. But if they all fight each other and they all beat each other, and then Terrence Crawford gets in the mix, boom. We got a really exciting middleweight division. It reminds me of like the days when Bernard Hopkins won that middleweight tournament with Keith Holmes and William Joppy and Tito Trinidad. It's kind of like Crawford is the Tito Trinidad. He is the star coming into the weight class, and they kind of crowned him, before the tournament was over. The way he blew out Joppy, blew out William Joppy. But I guess that's what there's a Bernard Hopkins type. There's Janybek Alimkanui, he's in there. There's a Erislandy Lara in there that could be that guy. So it's really interesting how the middleweight division could really turn around really, really quick now that these fights are happening.
This adds a level of danger for Lara. Janybek isn't just coming to win belts. He's coming to secure his financial future by producing a highlight reel knockout that goes viral. He needs to clear the deck and prove he is the undisputed king of 160. That kind of motivation turns a fighter from a competitor into a headhunter. Lara is standing between Janybek and superstardom, and that is a very dangerous place to be.
The idea is crazy to me of a Lara versus Crawford, because I just, we know Lara. He comes from the Cuban school. He's so highly technical and talented. Yes, he doesn't have the legs that he used to have, but I think I don't think Crawford's faced a skill set like that since Gamboa, and Gamboa was a lot smaller than him at that point.
Gave him hell.
Yeah,
gave him hell
he did.
Back then. Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, damn, is Lara the guy with the tool set that could actually give Terrence some problems in there?
I think Lara gives everyone problems. I don't think there's a person walking this earth that Lara wouldn't give problems to, because that's how good he is. And that's how high I rate him. And the thing about Lara is I don't think. No, I know. The boxing world doesn't know how good he is, and they never have, and they have not given him his credit. He's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's phenomenal, and with a win here, that would really legitimize everything he's done on a world stage. I think that'd be fantastic for him to get an opportunity like that, really make that money against a Crawford-type fight.
So what happens on fight night? If you listen to Chris Algieri, we aren't going to see a chess match. The prediction is that the youth, size, and relentless pressure of Janybek will simply be too much for the 42-year-old legend. It's a harsh assessment, but boxing is a harsh business. Lara believes this fight will solidify his legacy and punch his ticket to the Hall of Fame. But the reality might be that he is walking into a trap set by a younger, stronger, and equally skilled predator. As Algieri put it, Father Time is undefeated, and on December 6th, he might just collect another trophy. So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in the next video.